Developing a team player attitude. Learn how developing a team player attitude can benefit your students. On screen, a man and woman smile while looking at an electronic tablet.
Hello, parents and caregivers, and welcome to MDE-LIO's Parent Educational Video Series, where we break down the mystery of big educational labels and the little acronyms that represent them. I'm Amy Shepard, Parent Liaison to the Michigan Department of Education Low Incidence Outreach, or MDE-LIO for short. And that, folks, is our first acronym. I'm a parent of a young man who is legally blind, a community advocate, and a constant collaborator. Today, I'm collaborating with my longtime friend and coworker, Johanna Bruvan, an education consultant at MDE-LIO. Hi, Johanna.
Hi, Amy.
Johanna, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, Amy, I've been a teacher for the visually impaired here in Michigan since 1999. I started my career in the Detroit area working in what we would call a basic classroom. And those classrooms worked a lot like a resource room where students receive daily intensive support. Okay. I spent the first 7 years working with kindergarten through sixth graders, and then the 8 years working with preschool students and also students with complex communication needs. I've been here at LIO since 2014.
Wow, that is incredible, Johanna. And your years of experience working with families will certainly benefit us today as we talk about ways in which parents and teachers can work together to build positive relationships. When I think back on those early years of school, all the teachers that worked with us along the way, all of the IEPs and team meetings, it's obvious to me that it was all about building parent and teacher relationships.
You are absolutely right, Amy. But you know what? It is not as easy as it sounds. What are some approaches that have worked for you?
Well, a strategy that worked for me over the years was to develop a team player attitude, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Our first experience with school started at about 4 months old. We were immediately referred to the Anchor Center for Blind Children in Denver, where we had the incredible opportunity to attend until my son was almost 3 years old. And I remember feeling so blessed that we had the Anchor Center during those early years. The teachers were kind and compassionate, and I soaked up the knowledge that they shared with me and couldn't wait to implement their ideas at home. But most importantly, they showered me with empathy and respect, making me feel that I wasn't alone in this challenging journey. This was so important because I also remember the heart-wrenching feelings of guilt, loss, fear that often accompany finding out and living with the reality that your child has a visual impairment. Johanna, you were a preschool teacher for many years. How did you welcome your new families into the classroom, and what did you want them to know about raising a child with a visual impairment?
So before the school year even started, I always felt it was important that they come see the classroom in action so that they could imagine that their child in that environment, to know what the classroom expectations might be. I wanted them to know first and foremost that their child was going to be safe and well cared for, because they were taking a big leap of faith. They had a 3-year-old that they were putting on a bus for the first time. And maybe that child wasn't able to verbally communicate well with them so that they would know what was happening during the day. We really thought it was important to provide lots of communication back and forth. But also it was really important for me to have parents meet one another. As you were talking about that not feeling alone feeling, when you meet someone that's also on your journey, that really helps that feeling of not being alone and not being alone in it.
Yeah, that is so true, Johanna. When I look back, I realized that those early years of developing that school-based personal relationships instilled me with the confidence and the strategies that I would end up using for years to come. So one of my favorite approaches that has worked for me over the years has been to develop a team player attitude. From the moment a family enters the special education world, they become part of an extensive team of teachers, professionals, and administrators, And it's not always obvious to parents how they fit in. In fact, they may not even want to fit in. They didn't choose this, and yet here they are.
As educators, it becomes our role to welcome them to the team, to help them feel valued, needed, respected. And this is especially important, I think, for teachers that are working with toddlers. You're being invited into their homes, into their safe spot, and into their world.
Yeah, and that's exactly how the teachers at the Anchor Center made me feel right from the start. I'm going to share a slide and talk about a few ways you can foster a team player attitude. Use the time you spend with your families to talk about their expectations and dreams for their child. Their wants and needs should drive your interventions. Recognize that each member of the team comes from different backgrounds, has different life experiences and different skill sets, and find opportunities to build on those so parents feel ownership in the process. Demonstrate that you are truly interested in discussing and accepting varying viewpoints. Use words of encouragement to develop confidence. You got this. I like that. Let's try that idea. This type of affirmation empowers parents to take the lead and to feel that their ideas are valued. And last but certainly not least, understand that you need each other to succeed. Teams that have a shared expectations and are striving for a common goal are the most likely to thrive. So, Johanna, you welcome new families into your classroom every year. What were some of the things that you did to make parents feel like they were essential members of the team?
So above all, I wanted them to feel like we were on the same team.
Yes.
One thing that we work on a lot in preschool is those transferable skills. So we wanted to know what was important for families at home. And so how can we support those skills also at school? That's going to vary from family to family. Sometimes it was they wanted to hit the ground running with potty training. Sometimes it was really important that their child just started to try a variety of foods. Others, it was learning how to zip their coat or put their shoes on. What I did learn from that was that even if it seemed small, it was still a valuable skill that would make a difference in their everyday life. What ways did you find yourself making yourself part of a team? How did you accomplish that?
Well, when I think back to those early days at the Anchor Center, I showed up to each and every session eager to learn. And I was often really overwhelmed and exhausted from the long ride there, but I knew that the teachers were there waiting to welcome us and to share their knowledge with us, and I didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. I remember asking a lot of questions about the activities that we were doing, and I found out how I could incorporate those into our routines at home. And the teachers in turn appreciated my eagerness and willingness to try new things, and they offered up a ton of positive encouragement from me, even on the times when we failed.
That ongoing communication, that is how you build those relationships with one another. What are some of the things that you learned from those early conversations?
Well, there is one specific conversation that I do remember having with a teacher when my son was about 3 years old. I had asked her about teaching sports to my son since being physically active and playing sports was a big priority in our family. And she encouraged me to incorporate all types of gross motor skills into our playtime. And most of them were just normal everyday activities like you mentioned, Johanna. So we played on the swing set and we went down the slide and we played hopscotch and played tag and went for bike rides in our neighborhood.
I love that you embraced just those normal everyday activities that any family would do together. Sounds like it was really successful.
Yes.
Were there some normal activities that weren't so successful?
Oh, yes. For every success, there were a lot of failed attempts, particularly around eating and developing fine motor skills, which often led to a lot of frustrations at home. But I always knew that I could share those with my team because they had proven to me over and over again that they were there for us and that they had our back.
And ultimately, that is what having a team player attitude is all about.
Absolutely, Johanna. What a perfect way to wrap things up. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks, Amy, for having me and discussing this important topic of having a team player attitude. It certainly takes a village.
It certainly does, which is why I am grateful to everyone out there who has tuned in today. Don't forget to check out the MDE LIO website for more videos in our parent educational video series. See you next time.
Bye.
Learn more at mdelio.org. Find more videos, get resources, and learn how MDE LIO can support you.